Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Adobe Live social media challenge. I'm your host, Fabiola Lara. If you haven't watched my Adobe Live sessions before, I'm an illustrator and content creator, and I'm so happy that you made it here today. So, today I'm going to be showing you how you can add voiceover and music to your creative process videos to make them work for social media. So, if you often film your creative process as an illustrator, as a designer, or even as like a ceramicist, something more traditional, I'm going to show you how you can take that footage and edit it so that it actually works for social media instead of uploading like another kind of boring time lapse video that's not really going to perform and kind of do what you want on social. So let's get into the process here. I'm using Premiere Pro, my fave, and I want to show you why it's so easy to edit these videos in here and why it's like so much more custom and you can make your videos really like perform and just be more fun. And you can also have fun in the edit. So here's a video that I edited of myself drawing in my sketchbook. So something that isn't the most exciting thing on earth, I have found a way to make it more fun and compelling. So I'm just going to play it through so you get an example of what we're going to do today. Time for another 20-minute draw with me. This time I want to draw from this footage that I took in Paris. Whenever I look at my camera roll from that trip, I just really want to go back, but I can't. So instead, I'm going to draw it, and drawing it really helps me just like remember where I was, remember the trip that I had, because it kind of goes really fast when you're in the moment. But by drawing and sitting with this picture for 20 minutes, I'm able to like literally remember where I was, remember the trip, reminisce, and also like practice the skill of drawing what I'm seeing, which is actually kind of hard because you have to like simplify all the information from the photo and reinterpret it and put your own twist on it. And then the 20-minute limit helps me prevent myself from falling into perfectionism, because otherwise if I had no time limit, I could sit with this for probably forever. But by having that limit, I'm just like go, capture it, do it quick, and kind of practice that muscle of just drawing what I'm seeing freely. And I ended up really liking how this one turned out, and I liked it so much that I wasn't even sure if I wanted to like color it in with markers just because it looks really cute in black and white. So I finished 2 minutes early, but it's so cute. So that's a little sample. So the reality is that most of this clip is just me drawing from the same angle, because sometimes when you're caught up in the creative process, you don't have the like foresight to switch your camera angle every time. So let me show you how we're going to do this. And a little reminder, you should go download the project files, because the project files, though they don't contain my video footage, they are set up so that you can go right in and start recording. So if you're unfamiliar with this process, what you're going to see when you download that project file is you have the project, which has the Premiere Pro project, and then you have some other folders that I like to use for every single social media clip that I do, which is a footage folder to drop in all of your iPhone footage, or if you have a camera, you drop in all your footage from there. Then you have a music folder to add any stock music that you may have, or even if you make your own music, you want to put that in there. Some graphics. So if you have anything else, if you are an illustrator or a designer, you might have photos that you actually want to put in there of the screenshots or something like that. And then exports, which is all the videos that you export once you're done. And this is going to mirror what we have in the project panel. So over here in the actual Premiere Pro file, I have sequences, footage, music, graphics, an extra folder that's not in here, and this motion graphics template folder that happens automatically when I use my Mogurts. But this is going to mirror the setup in Finder, and it's going to make organization really simple. And that's something to keep in mind if you're not used to editing these kinds of videos. To stay organized is really going to help you kind of lower that bar to entry and start editing a lot faster. And then to import the footage, once you have your footage file in the footage folder, you just drag and drop that footage over into Premiere. So you can see here I have all my clips, and I just drag and drop those. Now, the most important clip being just this big time lapse. It's 10 minutes of me just drawing. And this is really boring. If I were to upload this by itself on social media, I don't think it would be the highest performing clip you've ever seen, because people don't have the patience to do that. Even if you were to speed it up, then you wouldn't see all the fun details. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is actually putting together the main edit. And if you go into your sequences, I have set up these sequences already for you. So step one is main edit. And you can see the sequence settings for this are 1080 by 1920, so vertical for vertical video. And if you record in if you record in 4K, for example, this is not going to be enough. So I'm going to show you how we scale that to match the sequence settings. But this sequence setting is what you want to actually export in. So that's why it's set up that way. And if you don't know how to set this up yourself, go ahead, download the project files. I've already set them up for you. But essentially all you do is go you go file, new, and then sequence, and then you're able to set up those settings. Now in the footage folder here, I have all the clips, and here is the main clip where most of the action is happening, right? Now, I know I don't want the audio because I think I was listening to a podcast. So there's like podcast audio, maybe some TV audio. I like to draw and have something in the background. So I don't want that in my actual footage, though. It's not the prettiest sound. So what I'm going to do is just take only the drag video option here. If you hover over it, you'll get this drag video option. Oh, and one quick thing, if your setup doesn't look like this because you're not familiar with Premiere Pro, head over to Workspaces and hit vertical, and it will look like this, and then you'll be ready to go. All right, so from here, I'm going to click drag video only. I'm going to select and hold and drag it, and you can see that I get all the settings. I get the whole file from the whole clip into my sequence. Now I get this pop-up because the clip doesn't match the sequence settings. I'm going to say keep the existing sequence settings because that's what I want. And I'm just going to let the clip not match. Now you can see here that in our actual program monitor, it's just really blown up because I recorded in 4K. I'm going to move it over here so we don't have this gap here. Now, this is a really easy fix. If you select the clip and go over to Effect Controls, I'm just going to scale this down to 50, and now it matches. That's because I recorded in 4K. You can also scale it differently depending if you hold and drag left or right, you get the options to scale. So that's up to you, but usually 50 is going to, if you recorded at 4K and now you're working in 1080, 50 is going to be the number that you want to input there. Now we have this entire clip, which is 10 minutes long. And what you're going to want to do here is just the essential part. You want to captivate your audience, right? So you want to just start strong. And I would say when you're looking at a process video, you want to capture just the action shots. So all this of me grabbing the pencil, just kind of thinking about what I'm going to draw, not that much action, but grabbing this pencil, that's kind of an action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the razor tool. You can also hit C on your keyboard, and I'm going to cut right where that action happens. A little bit before and a little bit after is what you want. There we go. And then cut. And I think something interesting to do when you're doing your main edit is to just move that clip up before you start deleting everything, because you might want to go back and grab something else. So that's kind of what I do. I take all the clips that are the action shots. So for example, the first stroke here that I put down on the paper, I want to capture that. So I'm just going to cut right before I start and right until I end before I start any other movement. And I'm going to move that up. Now you can decide to move all those up later or move them up as you go, whatever's more efficient for you. But I prefer to work this way when I'm talking about breaking down a time lapse, because otherwise, if I were to do it in the source monitor, right, from the original clip and kind of go like move it over, it's a lot of steps. It feels a little bit clunky to me, and every single time you have to do it, versus this way, you kind of can see the entire sequence real fast. It just feels like an easier way to work. And then you can also go back and grab it without kind of having to scrub through all over again. So let me do one more just to give you an understanding of kind of my favorite way of doing this. You don't have to clip every single, let me see if I can zoom in here. Let's do little bit more. So you don't have to cut out every single pencil stroke, or if you're a designer, every single time you put a new node on the page, or every single time you change something's color. You don't want to capture every process, because the viewer can kind of infer the next step between steps, right? So I'm just going to take the ones, I usually try to grab the ones where I did something kind of different or something you're not used to seeing, or something that's like really satisfying. So drawing this circle, maybe that's kind of more interesting. There we go. And then I'm going to move this up. So that way at the end, you're going to have a bunch of clips here on this second track that you can use for the actual edit. And the way you would do that, once, let's pretend here that I have all those clips selected already, I would just go through and delete the bottom track. And now you have just the track on top, and you want to close all those gaps. And then you have a little short sequence. Something like that, and you would have the whole thing. Now let me show you what that would look like, because of course I've prepared it for you. And there's some that I actually kept the audio from, and the audio was just little snippets where you can hear me open the notebook or whatever. Another thing I want to note, you don't want to have only shots of this one process, right? I think starting off with a shot of it, I'm going to hit back so I can share you the whole thing. A shot of the finished piece, starting with a shot of the finished piece so that people are like, ooh, what's that? Is usually something I recommend. So maybe here when I draw this line, there we go. I would want to have this or something showing off that final piece. So kind of like a hero shot. You want that in the beginning to captivate people's audience. And that's what I ended up doing here. And another tip you're going to see as I play this through is to have different kinds of shots. So not only do you want process shots, right? You want to grab that, but let's say later you decide you want to do something with this footage. Maybe you do a little setup shot, or a shot where you put in the notebook or set up your pencils, or end up sharpening your pencils, which is one that I have right here. So these are all little different types of shots that you can incorporate even after you've filmed the process. Just go stage a couple clips to add some interest to the time lapse. It's a little bit, single shot, single angle. So let me play these through for you. I'm just going to let it play, not the whole way through, but just a couple clips in the beginning so you can see what we're working with after you do that first edit. So you can see there, I only included 3 shots of me doing the red sketch. And I think by sharing that prep and the different angles, it really helps captivate people to be like, oh, what is that person doing? Let me watch all the way through. And then they're already far enough in the video that they want to see the finished piece because they got a glimpse of it in the beginning, right? So that's a little tip here. Now, aside from this, I think you should maybe add some voiceover and give people some more context, right? So right now, people don't know this person is drawing something completely random. We don't know why. Why is there a timer? Like, let's add a little bit of context. So the next thing you would want to do is add a voiceover. Now, this is really simple. If you're using Premiere Pro, you can record a voiceover directly into your computer. Of course, I have a mic, so I'm going to share with you how you would do that. The first thing you want to do is go into Premiere Pro Preferences, Audio Hardware, and make sure that in your audio, where is it? Not audio hardware, but there's another setting. In your audio setting, you want to make sure that you have mute input during timeline recording. So that way, when you're actually recording in your timeline, you're not hearing the output at the same time, the input at the same time, because then you're going to hear yourself echo and you're going to freak out and you're not going to be able to record because it's really hard to record when there's an echo of yourself. So once you have selected those settings, you have a mic connected to your computer, you're able to record. And I'm going to do a quick sample of this right here. So I'm going to hit the voiceover record and we're going to get a really cute countdown. Let me show you. And now we're ready to record. And this is me setting up for another 20-minute sketch. This is my reference image. So you can see how I'm recording, and then I hit spacebar to stop it. Or you can also hit, let me do it one more time so you can see the other option. There is usually right here, the play stop button right there. You can stop that. But anyway you press stop, it will stop recording. And those audios that you just recorded end up being input into your project just right here. They just get default named audio 2, audio whatever. And from there, you're able to fully edit them. Now, I've prepared an audio recording that I created that actually kind of matches what we're talking about. So I'm going to add that in. I think I have it under music, audio. Here we go. It takes a couple tries, but the cool thing is when you're recording in here, it's easy to just edit that or just re-record that. So let's play this through. Time for another 20-minute draw with me. This time I want to draw from this footage that I took in Paris. So you can see this is audio that I recorded earlier, that I played for you earlier. And the handy thing about recording in Premiere Pro or importing your voiceovers in Premiere Pro is that now you can use them to edit. Now, again, I just recorded in Premiere, but another alternative, like you can use your phone to record a voice note and send that over to your computer and then import that and drag and drop it right into here the same way I just did with this file. You're able to do that if you want to, if you don't have a mic to hook up to your computer. And again, I wouldn't stress over that. Voiceover on your phone is going to be great quality as it is. This is just a way to edit it so that we're able to like time it all correctly. So from here, with this clip selected, I'm going to hit transcript and look at that. Premiere Pro already transcribed this for me, so I'm able to go through and edit it. Now, I would say that when you start editing in here, it might start editing out like sections of the video that you want. So if I highlight that part of the text and hit delete, it deletes all the videos with it, which I don't want, right? So I'm gonna hit Opt X to stop that. So I'm just gonna move my audio over to the side and go ahead and edit and then match it up to the video clips. So if you have these ellipses displayed, which you can check on and off, select and deselect via this button right here. I like to have them selected so I can see them in my sequence because then I'm able to edit them out. All you do to edit them out is hold and drag to select, basically highlight that part of your voiceover and then hit delete and it deletes it. So that's another really handy way to edit it. And I think I had a few like parts where I just, at the end, I stopped a little bit. And this one, this was a good take. It's obvious, it's like take 5 or something. So I didn't have a ton of mess ups, but I recorded to the timing of the sequence. You saw when I was recording right in here, I can see the sequence building through and I recorded until the end of the video, which is why it kind of aligns really well. And I recommend that because sometimes when you're recording or you're trying to edit on your phone, it's hard to time it. But when you're in Premiere Pro, you know all the clips that are going to come up, you're able to time a little bit better. And if you want to add timers or markers to like, for example, in my sequence, right here is where I mentioned that this is my reference video. If you just select the sequence with nothing, no clip selected, right? So nothing is selected right now and hit M on your keyboard, it adds a marker. And then you have a visual cue that at this point you need to mention the Paris video, or maybe you have a cue here that I'm going to say, marker, before I start, I need to sharpen my pencil. And then you can talk about that. So those are really handy when you're trying to just create a captivating video that's in sync, but you also have a really long time lapse essentially that you're editing, and you want to make sure it's captivating because for the rest of the video, when it's just me drawing, I really don't have to say anything kind of specifically on time. But in the beginning, maybe you do. So those are a cool way you can use those markers to time that out. I'm trying to clear my markers now, but I'm not seeing the selection. So I'm just gonna, there we go. It's because I had stuff selected. Okay. So once you edit this, another quick note on editing, I can edit out any part of this. So I say, and then the 20-minute limit helps me prevent myself from falling into perfectionism. Otherwise, because otherwise if I had no limit, I could sit with this for probably forever. Maybe I don't want to say that. Maybe I ended up saying a little too much. So I'm going to hit delete and it's just going to start it at, if I had no limit, I could sit with this probably forever. And that would work fine too. So it's cool that you're able to just edit that with the text-based editing option. Now, once I'm done editing this clip, I'm going to move it over with the rest of my clips and just make sure that the ending kind of aligns. So let's check. But it's so cute. That's fine. I have a little bit of a gap with no text, but it gives people time to just look at the drawing. And I marked my in and out points using the I and O, so that way I can loop the playback here. So I'm going to hit here, loop playback. If you're not seeing the loop playback button, you just have to add it, drag and drop and add it. And now, cute in black and white. So I finished 2 minutes early. This will loop. So cute. Time for another 20 There we go. One more thing you want to do, let's say you want to upload this to YouTube Shorts and you want to put your own music to it. if you have a stock music membership to a site like Epidemic Sound, or if you're using copyright free music, you can drag that into the music folder from Finder, which is what I did. I dragged that file right into the Premiere Pro project. And now I have this. This is actually a track from Epidemic Sound. I'm going to drag it down into my sequence. And wait, actually, hold on. I'm in the wrong step. I have a sequence set up here for add music. So this has the proper voiceover that we edited. I'm going to drag in the Epidemic Sound track. And now with it selected, I'm going to hit Essential Sound, Music. I'm going to do the preset of, never mind, I'm going to hit music here. And then I'm going to do the preset of balanced background music because that's what I want. I want it to be like nice, even background music. And then for duration, you can see this song is way longer than the actual clip that I'm editing. So I'm going to select duration, hit remix, and I'm going to set the target duration. So I can tell here that I'm at 1:05. So I'm going to say 1:10, just to give me a little wiggle room in case I want to cut it shorter or something. So 1:10, I'm going to hit enter, and it will analyze the clip and then remix it so that it ends right at 1:10. So you can see here that clip is now shorter. Time for another 20-minute draw with me. And at every single one of these little arrows, that's where it kind of remixed it. I'm going to speed it up here. And that way it sounds really natural when it fades out, or at the ending, it kind of makes sense as opposed to ending kind of where the song is just beginning, because a lot of songs are 3 minutes and at the 1 minute mark, they're still like pumping. So that's another quick way to just add music and make it custom to the clip that you're working on. Another thing that you can do once you're in the Essential Sound panel is hit clip level, and you can adjust the clip level. So if balanced background music was still too loud for you, you could turn it down even further. And now that clip, all the information from the photo is even fainter, or you could turn it up. I'm not going to play that because I'm going to burst your ears. All right. So that's just another way that you can edit the sound. And since we're already in the Essential Sound panel, let me tell you how you can improve your audio. So this one's already done, but I'm going to clear it. So this is my voiceover footage, my voiceover audio. I'm going to hit dialogue as the audio type. I'm going to go to preset, and I'm going to say balance female voice. And that will change the effect on the voice. Let me show you before and after. So this is before. Yeah, so instead I'm going to solo it. I'm going to draw it, and drawing it really helps. And then if I hit dialogue, preset, female voice, it's me just like remember where I was, remember that it sounds a lot more clear and like focused. You can play with any of these presets. I also like the podcast voice. Let me show you that trip that I had, because it kind of goes really fast when you're in the moment. I feel like it captures the depth of the voice a little bit better. And so that's really going to quickly edit your audio to sound really good as opposed to being kind of muted and competing with the balanced background audio. And that's all done through the Essential Sound that you can find even in the vertical workspace. So these are some quick edits that you can do. I really love it because I just feel like it makes the video sound more polished, and the better that your audio is, it kind of like helps people draw them in, and they even think the video is better quality if the audio is better quality, is what I've heard. Okay. Now we finished editing music. We even did a little bit of light audio editing to just make it a little bit more professional. Now we're going to make it more captivating. So I'm going to hit add. I'm going to hit the next step, which is add zooms. So this is one way that I like to add in zooms to just be more interesting, make it more interesting, because right now is just one kind of shot. So I'm going to go to new item, adjustment layer. Okay. Now I have this adjustment layer. I'm going to drag this down to my sequence, and it looks like this. Okay, great. Nothing happened because it's a blank layer. What you want to do is go on to effects and type in transform. And now under distort, you want to drag this transform setting over that adjustment layer. And now when you go into effect controls and you have the adjustment layer selected, you have all of these transform settings. So ignore all the other motion, opacity, time, ignore that, because we want to play with the transform settings. So I'm going to make it the size of the zoom that I want, which is just in this first clip. And I'm going to hit position and scale. And then I'm going to move my playhead up to around here to around the end. And I'm going to just scale this up a bit and maybe move it up a little bit by just selecting and dragging these options up top. So now it looks like this, and I'm going to just play that for you.
Time for another.
So that adjustment layer zoom
20 minutes
affected the clip underneath. And the cool thing about this is that if you hit option and then drag this to another clip, you're able to quickly add zooms. So let's say I want to add a zoom here. That's kind of fits perfectly.
This time I want to draw from this.
It added a whole other zoom. And so you can basically add zooms everywhere you want really quick by doing this. And lastly, one more thing, you can add another adjustment layer. So new item, adjustment layer. I'm going to rename this one jump cut. And I'm going to drag this in. And I'm going to say that for this adjustment layer, I actually want to select it. Oh, once again, we need to apply that transform effect. And for this one, right at the beginning, what I'm going to have it do is just scale up crazy. So I'm going to do, instead of it being at 100, I'm going to say 200 immediately. And now we can see how that jump cut affects it.
From this footage that I took in
immediate jump cut. And you can, again, play with that and put it all over your sequence. So those are just some quick things you can do to take a boring time lapse, an otherwise boring time lapse, and add all sorts of effects. If you want to learn how to add captions or add anything else, there are a ton of resources on Adobe Live to check that out. And once again, this stream doesn't end here. Join our community by posting your work in our Discord. We have mentors to help you level up your skills and other creatives to inspire you. You can find me at Fabiolita Draws everywhere, and good luck with your projects. I can't wait to see you over on Discord. And thank you again. See you next time. Bye, guys.